Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're having a great day so far and welcome to What on Earth is the Month? April faves and fails. I actually don't have any fails, to be honest with you. A couple of iffies, some loves, some likes. So without further ado, let's get started. So this was a bit of a shorter month for me because I was on holiday for like 2 weeks. We had our school holidays here. I didn't go away anywhere. We had a bit of a staycation, but I was off, not working, with my children, with my family, just spending some lovely days together. So I didn't sort of work, didn't buy makeup, didn't do any YouTubing for 2 weeks. So this is kind of quite a short month as far as like new things and trying new products. So I have quite a small selection of makeup, but I have a few other items that I wanted to share with you that I have just loved this month and think are really worth sharing because they're things that I've been like looking for and found the perfect one. And I know I'm not the only one who's been looking for these things. So first up, I want to talk about this jacket. Let's put it on. Let's put the jacket on. This is a Free People jacket. I can't remember the name of it, but of course I will link it down below. I have been looking for this sort of cute, comfy, oversized type jacket that is like casual but can be like dressed up or down, that goes with everything, and that is like not too hot but also just keeps the chill off. You know, it's April, we're going into May, we've had some chilly days here, but I also don't want like a huge big puffer jacket anymore that's really bulky. And literally this jacket is absolutely the perfect jacket. I now have it in 3 colours. I bought a green, the stone colour, and then this one. I can't remember the name of this colour, but I will write it in the description box because there's a lot of colours. Like there's a whole rainbow of colours in this jacket. So if you're looking for something casual, oversized, throw on over a dress, it will go over a jumpsuit, anything you like, t-shirt and shorts. And this jacket in summer will just be perfect for those slightly chillier days. It's just absolutely it. Hashtag recommend. Next up, I wanted to share with you these sandals I got. So these are Dune and they are just I've been looking for a sandal with a wedge heel, a little wedge heel, not too high, super comfortable for holiday. So when we go on holiday, you know, we take long walks into the village for dinner, into the towns, for like the cafes, the restaurants and bars and things. And I can never find a shoe. I want to have a slight heel, makes me walk properly, makes my legs look longer, goes nicely with dresses, goes nicely with play suits, but I just cannot be doing heels on like cobbled streets. Can't do it. And when we go for dinner here as well at home, there's cobbled streets, and like that's a great way to break an ankle. If you wear like high heels on cobbled streets, guaranteed recipe for a sprain. Okay, so I've been looking for this type of shoe that's cute, that's pretty, that kind of goes with skirts and dresses, is feminine, makes me walk nicely like a lady, but does not give me a broken ankle. And these are it. I've been wearing these around the house, like wearing them in, and they're so comfortable, easy to walk in, like they feel like they support your foot. They're not flimsy, but so pretty. Let me show you up close. So can you see they have like sparkle, but they're so cute and just so comfortable, like the perfect holiday sandal. I'm obsessed. So next up, very, very good timing for an SPF. This is the Skinceuticals Advanced Brightening UV Defense Sunscreen. It's SPF 50, factor 50 in there. I was gifted this literally yonks, an actual yonk ago. I was gifted this. I only just started using it because I've only just got through the other ones that I had to use up, and I love this SPF. It's like maybe my favorite, certainly one of my favorites ever for under makeup. It goes so nicely into the skin. It goes on like a lotion, very, very thin, feels lovely on the skin, very fresh, very light. It goes in like a dream. So quickly, it feels very hydrating, but it's a really nice base for makeup. No pilling, no messing around with my foundation, like some I could mention. And it's like my current favorite SPF. I don't like using this just on days when I'm not wearing makeup because I want to savor it because it's expensive. but it is like it for me. When I'm going to be going out in the summer, if I've got days on holiday, especially where I want to put makeup on over SPF, this is like become my go-to for that. It's really, really nice for under foundation and just for reapplying as well. There's no pilling, it doesn't ball up, it doesn't feel horrible and greasy, it doesn't look too shiny, it's literally perfect. Another skincare item I have fallen in love with this month, this is the Kate Somerville Lifting Eye Cream. I am obsessed with this. I picked this up on Caroline Hyron's recommendation. She swears by all Kate Somerville's eye creams. I got this, I think it was like 20% off. Maybe it was on Cult Beauty when Cult Beauty had their sale. I've been wanting to try one of her eye creams for a long time, but wanted to wait for sale because they are spendy. They are pricey little numbers. Oh my goodness, this is like my favorite eye cream of all time. You need the smallest amount. I mean, all eye creams is like you need a small amount. This is like a small amount and then halve it, because if you put a lot, I feel like it takes a long time to work into the under eye area. If you put a teeny little amount, it goes in beautifully, and that's all you need, the smallest amount. So it will last a very long time. I will say that for it. It is so good. I use this at night and it literally, I swear, I've been using this for maybe 3 weeks, I think now, and I'm really noticing a difference almost immediately. It definitely has a bit of a sort of instant gratification to it, because it does feel like it's tightening up that under eye area like instantly. But I'm also noticing an improvement to like the smoothness, this tightness of my under eye area. I think it's magic, and I am going to be not parting with this anytime in the future. I really, really like this one. This is a great eye cream, and I'm super happy, of course, because Caroline said it was good. Of course it's good. The woman, she knows what she's talking about. So last but not least, from the non-makeup categories, the fragrance of the month. This is the Love Rose and Oud Special Edition 2022 that I spoke about in my Will I Buy It video. So this arrived a few days ago. I have been accumulating my thoughts. I've been wearing it. I'm getting people's opinions. It is absolutely glorious. It's gorgeous. It's very different to anything I own in my collection. It's definitely not anything like the original Love Don't Be Shy. If Love Don't Be Shy is like your cup of tea, I don't think you'll like this. Me, I'm not a big fan of Love Don't Be Shy. It's much too sweet, as I spoke about in my previous videos. It's too sweet for me. It's a little cloying. It's a little too gourmand for my tastes, and just a little too sugary sweet. This, the only similarity or even like relation it has to the original Love Don't Be Shy is there is a hint in the dry down of that marshmallow note, that sort of chemistry, that famous note in Love Don't Be Shy. It has like a nod to it, but that's where the similarity ends. This is like an oud bomb. The oud is definitely like at the top of the fragrance, and it stays all throughout the journey of the scent. It is so unique. It's totally different for me, but I think that little twist of the marshmallow in there just takes the edge off and makes it wearable. It's not going to be for everybody. It's definitely not a safe like blind buy, because it is quite different, but that's what I love about it. I don't want to buy any fragrances anymore that I already have something similar. This is definitely something different, something interesting, and something that I can't stop smelling it, you may have noticed, and keep going back and thinking, my goodness. And every time I get a sort of a waft of the scent throughout the day, it's changed slightly. I feel like this really is not a linear scent. It's just constantly kind of shifting the notes that you can pick out. I don't have an extensive note list because it hasn't ended up on Fragrantica yet. I don't feel like Kilian's website lists all of the notes. They're quite mysterious as to what's actually in here as far as notes, but we know there's rose, we know there's oud, and we know, well, I think pretty sure that there's marshmallow because I can smell it. But it certainly isn't super rosy, and it certainly isn't super sweet like the original. It's definitely a completely different ball game, much more warm, spicy, ambery of a fragrance, and quite sharp as well. But I am really, really enjoying this one. So let's move on to the makeup. So I picked up this highlight. I had this quite a while now, but so many highlights came out in the last month or so that I just haven't got around to sort of really giving it enough of a try to talk about it before now. But this is the Dior Riviera. This is the Nude Riviera. There are 2 shades of highlight with this collection, the Nude Riviera, and I think there was like a pink Riviera as well, but this is the nude shade. This is my favorite Dior highlight of all time. I think it's just a little more appropriate for my skin tone. I definitely prefer this to the Dior Forever Nude Glow that I also own. This just melts into my skin and it's a great colour for me. I think it's also quite subtle. Let me show you the close up there. You can see you can't really see a lot of base colour. You can't see a lot of shimmer or glitter. It's quite subtle, but it's super pretty, nice and natural, right up my street. I do think this is skippable. I don't think it's like life-changing or super unique or anything particularly special, but I have really been enjoying it and I think it's a really nice, pretty highlighter if you're looking for one from Dior. This is definitely my favourite so far that I've tried from the brand. Next, let's finally talk through my thoughts on the Bridgerton collection from Pat Mcgrath. This arrived just before I did my March favourites, so I didn't have time to include it. I just hadn't got to know the products well enough when that one went up. So now I have had these products for like a month, so I can really give you the nitty gritty on them. Let's start off because it's probably a bit easier to accumulate my thoughts on the eyeshadow palette. I think this is a lovely eyeshadow palette. I love all of the formulas in here. I don't think it's one that I'm going to use a lot, to be honest, but just because the colours are just not typically my thing. But this shade here is just insane. I'm obsessed. It does have a lot of fallout, but I'm kind of willing to tolerate it because it's just so flipping beautiful and just, oh my goodness, it's gorgeous. But yeah, I think the packaging of the eyeshadow palette is gorgeous. I love it. I love a lot of the shades in here. It's just not one that I can see myself using a lot because of my preference and my taste in eyeshadow. It's just quite far off, but that shade does stand out for me because it is just super pretty. And if you're a bit more adventurous, then you may love it, the colour story, far more than me. The formulas are all lovely. Like I said, this is the standout shade for me because it's just so eye-catching and pretty, but I think it's definitely one that you can skip on if you don't really feel like me. You're going to get a lot of use out of it because it's nice to have, but it's not a necessity. I would say the same thing about the lipsticks. That I wouldn't say they're a fail because there's nothing terrible about them other than the fact that other than, like I said in my review, they're all getting sort of nicked on the packaging. When you twist them up, there is a bit of a groove forming in the bullets. I also think that this packaging feels very light and cheap, and they aren't cheap. Someone said, I said that I was commenting on my review that these bows are really bulky and tacky and they feel very cheap, and they just don't look very luxe and chic for the brand and where the price point sits. And someone told me that they'd heard you were supposed to take these off and use them as rings, which, I mean, the thought was horrifying as it is, but mine definitely don't come off. They are stuck on there. So I don't know that that's true. I don't know where that came from, but I don't think that's true. I think they just are gaudy decoration, to be honest. And I don't love the packaging. I think the shades themselves are just kind of blah, really. The two that I picked up are Negligee and the Venusian Peach, and they're almost the same. They are very close, to be honest. If you're going to release a couple of nudes, do you see that they're almost the same? I do like the red Elson. I think that's a really pretty shade, but again, these are nothing that you don't already have. I don't think there's anything super special that you need to like lose your minds over. They've just kind of gone straight in my drawer and I haven't really felt like the need to reach for them. However, we've saved the best till last. This is the blush and highlight palette. I'm wearing both the highlight and this pink blush today on my cheeks. And when I tell you, I am fully obsessed with this palette. It is like, I hate the packaging. I hate the packaging. I hate how I have to use this with it sat there. I hate that there's no mirror. I hate that these things are sticking out like 6 feet from the box. I hate that I couldn't travel with it because the products inside, I mean, this is sounding like I hate it, doesn't it? But there's a but coming, wait for it. The products inside are legitimately some of my ultimate all-time favorites. This highlight is absolutely stunning, and it is quite unique. When I swatched this and I thought it's very yellow, I'm not going to like it on the cheek, I live for it. I think it's gorgeous and quite different. This blush, which was the only bit of this palette I anticipated loving, I think is potentially my all-time favourite blush ever, bar none. I don't know of a blush, it's not on that finger, it's on this one. Just kidding. The finish and the texture of this blush and the shade is literally made for me. It's made for me. It's so glowy and luminous. I can't even tell you. And it's so pretty in the shade and the colour. I'm living. It's literally made for me. This pink that I'm wearing today, I thought I would never in a million years put on my cheeks. I literally bought this palette, 1 for review purposes, 2 because I just wanted this blush. But this pink is actually glorious. It's gorgeous, okay? It's changed my mind about pink blush, only for this one, because the finish, again, is insanely stunning. And all of the blushes in here are so buildable. Let me show you a bit closer up, like, what we're doing. So I'll swatch this palette again so you actually have a hope of seeing it. But the finish of these blushes is insane. And you see how well that highlight just melts into the skin. You can barely see that it's there. It's just luminosity. If Pat releases these blushes or the highlight as an individual, I swear to my goodness, all of my prayers and dreams will have come true. I suspected I was going to love this one. I just did not think that I was really going to like anything else about it because the packaging is not for me. It's just not my taste. It's not my preference. But all is forgiven because what's in there is glorious, and it's like literally, I'm really struggling to use anything else. The combination of this highlight and this blush, the way it just melts together and just gives you the glowiest cheeks of your entire dreams and life. I mean, can you tell I quite like it? Do I wish it wasn't in this horrifying box? Sure, yes, I do. But, you know, even if it was in my teapot, I'd still want to put it on my face. That's how good it is. Unfortunately, it is true. But we must move on, we must. Let's talk about the Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk of Dreams little quad. This is the eyeshadow I've got on my peepers today. Can you see it? I don't know, I didn't think I would like this. I did think that I would like this. I did think that I would like this. But it really is a cheeky little number. You know, it is boring. It is understated. It is quiet. It is an obvious colour story. It certainly isn't revolutionary or one that's been done before. But if you want a soft glam, like neutral palette, this literally could not be a more perfect little quad. It's got your 2 mattes that blend stunningly together. I think this is like Charlotte Tilbury's best formula ever as far as her eyeshadows that I can think of that I own. This is like it, chef's kiss. Gorgeous. I kind of wish that this shimmer was like just more, like, I don't think these shimmers are quite as like impactful as the Fire Rose shimmer, the shimmer that's in that palette that's over the top. I just wish they just had a slight more punch to this shimmer and then it would be like perfection. I was kind of looking for this to be like the Charlotte Tilbury equivalent to the Natasha Denona Glam Face and Eye palette that has the 5-pan in it. I wanted this to be that, and it's just not quite as impactful as that as far as the shimmers. But the colour story and the way that it all looks on the eyes when it comes together is so beautiful and just so simple but effective. I think it's a gorgeous little quad and very, very nice, like more mature eyes because it's not super glittery or sparkly. There's really no fallout. It's just a very easy, perfect quad. It's very wearable for every occasion. I get a lot of use out of that one, and it's just like, it does what it says on the tin. It's simple, pretty, effective, and easy. I think it's a great beginner's palette because, you know, it's very easy and obvious to know where to put what color, and you just really can't go wrong. It's so pretty, and yeah, loving it probably more than I thought I was going to. So next, let's talk about these Pillow Talk Multi Glows. I don't know that I like these, which is really weird to say, because when I saw these, the pictures of these, I thought these are going to be like the product of my dreams. I love Charlotte Tilbury. I love her highlighter. I love the whole aesthetic of the brand, and I thought these were going to like change my life. But unfortunately, neither of them like quite works how I want them to for me and like my skin tone. So this one, this is the lighter of the two, Romance Light. This is just too light for me. I can't use this on my cheeks, or it leaves quite a grey cast. Like it just does, it looks chalky for me on my skin tone. So, you know, any way that I sort of use it, mix it together, or use one or other of the shades, it's just too light. I mean, you can see there on my hand that it's leaving quite a sort of harsh greyish cast. It looks quite chalky. It's just too light for me. So I can use this on the eyes, but that's obviously not really its intended purpose, and it's very expensive for like an inner corner highlight, okay? That I could do without. Then the deeper palette. Now this little sliver up the side works beautifully as a highlight on me. This is kind of the shade that I would need out of these two little palettes that would work as a cheek highlight for me, this little sliver. And yes, I can get my brush in there to use it individually, but again, not ideal. What I wanted to do was to sort of swell the colours together and get like a glowing blush highlight effect. And again, I can do that, but it's just a little, these are a little more glowy and metallic than I expected them to be. So if I do kind of swell a brush in here and use it as like a glowy blush, it's a lot. It's a lot of texture on the cheek. The colour is quite, well, very, very warm, almost copper when you mix it together. And, you know, it's okay. I just don't love it as much as I thought or anticipated that I would. I really thought these were going to be like an absolute love, and I like them. I can use them strategically and get some use out of them. Do I love them? Would I recommend them? Are they special and unique and offer something really exciting and different as far as a highlighter goes? The answer is really sadly no for me. I think they're skippable. Aside from this gorgeous packaging, I just think there definitely are better highlights out there. And if you're looking for sort of a glowing blush, same thing applies. There are easier and prettier blushes, I think, that would be cheaper and you'd get more use out of than what these offer. I think they were a great idea. I just don't think they quite nailed it as far as, for me, working on my skin tone at least. It's just not quite right. The colours are just slightly off, which is really sad because I had very high expectations. But again, not a fail. They work nicely. There's nothing terribly wrong. Just for me, they just were not quite what I was looking for, sadly. Next up, I picked up a blush from Rare Beauty. You know, it's a couple of my goals for the year. Try more brands, never tried Rare Beauty before, and try more liquids and creams. So I got a 2-for-1 with this blush. So this is her cream blush, one of the luminous ones, and this is the shade Joy. So I've only tried this a few times. I'm feeling more so like I'll get more use out of this probably in the summer months when creams are a bit more like the thing to do, aren't they? And when my skin is a bit more tanned, I can see me rocking this on holiday. The colour of this blush is right up my street. I love the finish. It's very pretty and natural. It's not glittery or shimmery. It's just a bit of glow to the cheeks. And I actually found this really easy to use, which is unheard of for me when it comes to liquids. So I am excited about these. A very small amount goes a very long way. I will say that. Go careful, go easy. hold your horses. What I found is doing something like this and then a beauty blender sort of dabbed into it there, or a brush just patted onto the back of your hand, and that's enough, and you can build up and it doesn't lift up underneath, and it actually has quite a nice amount of longevity for liquid blush as well, I found. So that one I was quite excited about. I got on much better with it than I thought, and I'm excited to play around with it a bit more. I was a bit disappointed there were no other colours I kind of really felt like I wanted. I hope they come out with more. But yeah, definitely a good start for me with Rare Beauty. Next up, I picked up 2 of the new Hourglass Phantom Volumizing glosses. So these are a sort of gloss lipstick hybrid. They are quite a slim little stick lipstick there, and they twist up, but they don't twist back down. They're exactly the same as the Charlotte Tilbury Hyaluronic Hydra Kiss, as in you twist them up and they can't be twisted back down. What I will say that is better about the way that these work and that twist up mechanism that doesn't go back down versus the Charlotte Tilbury is that because the bullet is so much smaller, the component is so much smaller, they are much easier to actually apply to the lips without making a mess, and then without being left with a lot sticking up, because you can just twist the tiniest amount up, use it, and then you'll find actually you don't need to twist it back down because you have used the product that's there. So you need to go a bit carefully, but the actual product itself I think is beautiful. I've really been enjoying it. I picked up 2 shades. Mist, I will say, literally looks like nothing on my lips. It gives me a little bit of shine, but it's barely, there's no colour there really at all. I think if you're fairer than me, it might give you a bit more colour, but if you are my skin tone or deeper, I wouldn't bother with that shade because it's just not going to show up really. It's just going to give you sort of almost a clear gloss, unless that's what you're looking for. The other shade I picked up is Trace, and that's this nude shade. So this is Mist and this is Trace. Trace is gorgeous for like a nude everyday glossy shiny lip. It's beautiful. I find them super comfortable. They are like a plumping product, so they don't burn. It's not heat, it's that cooling sensation. I don't find them really tingly or burning. It's just like a coldness to the lips. They're not very long wearing, being a shiny glossy product, but they also are not sticky. They feel very nice and hydrating and comfortable and smooth. I can't say that I notice my lips are like twice the size at all. They do look full and plump because it's a gloss, and they do look smooth. It doesn't sort of exaggerate lines or sink into lines or crease or anything like that at all. Do I think they actually enlarge my lips? No, but they do look nice and full and plump and healthy and juicy because there is a very high shine product. So I really like them. The couple of cons to be aware of: 1 is the twist up mechanism that doesn't twist back down. 2 is the insanely stingy amount of product that you get in here, which is 1.7 grams. So if we compare that to the Pat Mcgrath, the lipsticks, which are not large, this is 3.7 grams. Obviously completely different texture, but these are not going to last you very long, put it that way, because you do need to use a fair bit. You will need to reapply because they're not, you know, a matte lipstick or anything that's really long wearing. So that's just something I noticed and thought was worth mentioning, but the product is really nice. I think they look beautiful. Next up, I did pick up the Benefit liner that I spoke about, using the Extreme Precision liner. Now this is a really nice liner. It does give me a good wing. I have struggled doing the inner corner with it. I'm not going to give up. I haven't found it especially useful. I feel like the tip is almost too long. Like I wish it was shorter, and maybe that would help me with the inner corner bit, but I'm gonna still keep practicing. It's very nice for a wing. I do find that once it's on, it doesn't budge and it doesn't smudge or run or anything like that throughout the day, and I'm able to get a really nice crisp line. And it is very black as well. I will say that I got the black color, and it is very, very black, and this packaging is delightful. I love it. So yeah, it's really, really nice. I would say I like this as much as the KVD Beauty liner, which has previously been my favorite for a very long time. Next, let's talk about this gorgeous blush palette. This is the Afterglow cheek palette from Nars. This is 1 highlight and 5 blushes. I did not really have high expectations for this one. Just to look at it, I think the packaging is a bit plainer than Nars has done previously, like with their holiday collection that had the gift wrapping and like the hammered metal were a bit more exciting. So maybe it was that. Maybe it's just this colour story. To look at it, I just don't think it gives you as much wow as some of the others. But then I put it on my cheeks and oh my goodness, it's gorgeous. It is so much prettier than I expected, or I think to look at the palette you would expect it to be. So my favourite shades, this highlight for a start is gorgeous. I don't necessarily have high expectations of Nars highlights, but this one is stunning and quite natural. But my favourite thing to do is to use this highlight with this blush in the middle, because that combination is absolutely stunning. I also do love this red, which looks extremely intimidating, but again, it just blends out. Nars blushes are so nice. They blend out so well that with a light hand, it's gorgeous. And again, I saw a tutorial, I think it was Becky, who's like the Nars senior makeup artist, and she did a tutorial where she used this shade up here that I just sort of thought, that's not going to show up on me, it's not going to work. I hadn't even used it, but she made it look so gorgeous. I gave it a try and it's absolutely beautiful. So she sort of used this as almost like a base and then put a bit of this shade, I think, higher up on the cheek. And I thought, hello, she's a genius. So I tried it and it's absolutely beautiful to like blend out the more intimidating colours. But this was really a surprise for me. I just kind of thought, as far as these palettes from Nars go, you know, when you've got quite a few of them like I have, I thought this is going to get lost. So there's others I prefer. But actually on the cheeks, the combination of this palette, it just works so beautifully together. And like that look that I did that day with these two shades was one of my favourite cheek looks for a very, very long time. I did post it on my Instagram if you want to see it. But yeah, it's such a beautiful palette. As always with these from Nars, you just can't really go wrong. There's never been a dud, I don't think. It's just about finding the one that has the shades that most suit you or that you prefer, because they're always going to be amazing. Next up, I picked up a couple of the new Lancome lipsticks that I also spoke about in my Will I Buy It video. One of these is the one that I have on my lips right now. The one on my lips is shade 66, which might be like the prettiest spring summer lipstick I've ever seen in my life. It's actually quite metallic, which I wasn't expecting. I was expecting these to be sort of like glowy creams, whereas that one was actually like really quite metallic, which was quite a surprise to me. I love this packaging. I think it's so cool. You basically see the rose on the end there, you push it down and sorry, let me do that again. You push it down and then the lipstick pulls out. I love that. I think that's really different. And then the other shade I picked up is 199, which I will warn you looked absolutely nothing like the pictures and the swatches online. So I was like, wasn't really the colour I was looking for, and it looked nothing like the swatches online. I actually wanted to pick up more of these, but I found the swatches so confusing. And a lot of the shades were sold out quite quickly. I don't know if they're being restocked. I hope so. But the formula of these is gorgeous. I love the packaging and the way that it works and everything. The bullets have a really nice crisp shape to them. And 66 is literally like your perfect summer, pretty coral metallic lip. It's really, really pretty and quite different. 66, I think, is just like the perfect summer coral lip, just super pretty but quite unique actually. But 199 I'm just not sure about. It just was not what I was expecting based on the swatches online. So I would warn you to be careful if you're choosing these online, that the swatches are slightly confusing and perhaps not very like true to life, but they're very, very comfortable. They have a nice amount of pigment and I really love the packaging. So yeah, I'm definitely going to try some more of these, but I need to wait until I can go in store and actually work out what the colours will look like, because it was really hard to choose them online. And lastly, but by no means leastly, I'm going to briefly talk about the Wayne Goss Cream Foundation, because today is the first day I've actually put this on my skin. So I know that if I don't say anything about it, you guys are going to clock it in the description box and be like, why hasn't she talked about the Wayne Goss? And I know a lot of you are like crying out for some information on the foundation. So I'm going to give you like my first impression, initial thoughts, with that caveat that I haven't done I haven't worn it long enough yet to know how it wears, and I need to give it a bit more time to know my full thoughts. First up, the shade I picked up is number 7, and it is, as you can see, perfect. Really happy with the shade. When this first arrived, I had makeup on, but I wanted to immediately try it, so I quickly just wiped my makeup off, and then I went and put this on with a brush. Like, I just swirled my brush in here and whacked it on, and it was a mess. Now, obviously, part of that is about the preparation there, as in there was none, and there was probably still like old makeup left on and all of that. So there's that. But I have since had a look at like Wayne's video and other people's videos, and he basically says, don't do that. What I did was like the worst thing you can do ever in life. But don't like swirl your brush in here. He was basically saying that's just going to pick up far too much product, and that's just not the right way to use it. Instead, what you need to do is either use, I know he has brought out a puff that he uses, like a sort of powder puff type looking thing that you press in, or to use a beauty blender. So that's what I did today. I used a damp beauty blender and I just sort of swirled it in the product and then pressed it into my skin. And I think it looks beautiful today. It looks very, very natural. Let me get a mirror. It looks very, very smooth. It has a nice amount of like life to the skin. I'd say it's like a satin finish. It's not like it's super glowy, but it definitely doesn't like look flat matte either. I think it looks very, very natural and smooth, and it just went on really beautifully. I will say that the process was quite time consuming. I'm probably at like a medium coverage now with this. You definitely can get like a light medium and probably keep going and get more coverage. I found it very buildable, very, very nice thin texture, especially when applied with that sponge. But to build up like an even layer and get it to medium, I felt like I was there forever, just with my sponge carefully adding, and it did definitely take a lot longer than when I work with like a liquid foundation to get to that point. But that is, I guess, the nature of these sort of more professional type of products and formulas that, you know, you're supposed to apply in thin layers and build up. But I did notice like my arm was aching by the end of the process. I'm just going to say that. But so far, I think it looks beautiful. Very, very natural is how I would describe it. It was, you know, you can very carefully control where you're adding your coverage, where you're adding your products. So it's probably really great, as Wayne said, for mature skin, because less is more. And you can literally really be very precise in where you're adding and where you need coverage and things that you need to cover without adding, you know, a whole layer of liquid foundation that could be quite heavy. So far, I mean, it's not soaking into lines, it's not looking heavy, it's not causing me any issues, it's not exaggerating any texture. I just think it looks really nice and natural and undetectable on the skin. But I definitely have some more kind of experimenting and playing around with it to do. So I will be doing like a trying new makeup video where we'll come back and I'll show you it on camera and do all the application with some of these other products as well, so that you can kind of see it in action. But those were kind of my initial thoughts, just whacking it on today quickly to see what my kind of first impressions were. So please let us know. Hopefully the shade at least is helpful for you guys if you were confused, because I found it really hard. I literally just guessed in the end and thought that'll do. Number 7 sounds good. So please do let me know if you have tried this and how you're getting on with it. I feel like it will last you forever, because I literally cannot even tell I've used that. So that's another thing. I feel like I used barely any product to get a nice medium coverage. So yeah, I think that this, although it seems like a small little pot, it's got a really nice generous amount in there. It's an ounce, which is the standard amount of a liquid as well, but I think this is going to last you probably a lot longer. So yeah, those are my kind of first impressions on the Wayne Goss foundation. So there you have it. That is everything I have to tell you about these products from the month of April. Please let me know what you tried and loved this month. Any of these products that took your fancy, or that how you got on with them, I'd love to know in the comment section down below. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'd love to see you in the next one. Otherwise, take care for now. Bye 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 bye.